Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about multiple childhoods. As we all know that childhood is a time for children to be in the school, to play, to become strong, to become confident, and definitely they need the love and encouragement of their family members. They need a community where they are caring adults, and it's a precious time for the children, and they should be free from fear, violence, and they should be protected from abuse and exploitation. And childhood doesn't only mean the space between the birth and attainment of adulthood. It refers to the state and condition of child's life to the quality of those years. Means that what kind of life the child is living, what quality of life he's living in those years of his childhood, what is the state and conditions in which he's surviving. That refers to childhood, and today we are going to discuss about multiple childhoods or different kinds of childhoods seen in India. The first kind of childhood is orphan. Now, orphans are the children whose both parents are dead, and such children are deprived of parents' love and they are not adopted also. In adults also we have orphans. They are called adult orphans. However, there's an exception of being called an orphan. Those children who have reached their adulthood while their parents were alive are not called orphans. And those children whose parents died while they were still young and they had not reached the age of adulthood, such children are called as orphans. When they were not able to support themselves, they were too young. At that time the parents died, so they are called orphans. This is one example given here for animals, that if an animal's mother dies, that means that immediately that animal becomes an orphan regardless of the father's condition. So there's an exception in case of animals, but as far as humans, I've told you the condition. Our second childhood is children having single parents. Now, such children don't get the complete love of their parents because their parents are separated, they're unmarried parent or they're widowed parent. Due to such reasons, they don't get the support and love of both their parents. Here it says that a single parent is also called a solo parent. Now, solo parent means they are not living with the spouse or their partner. And definitely, if they're doing it single-handedly, means they'll get day-to-day responsibilities and they have to raise their children. If the parents are separated or divorced, children live with a custodial parent and have visitation or secondary residence with a non-custodial parent. Now, this means that when people get divorced, they go to the court to fight for the child's custody, and one parent gets the child's custody, and that parent is called custodial parent, and the other parent might just come for visiting the child, and so the child will have a secondary residence. But history says that death of a partner was the major cause of single parenting. Our next childhood is child labor. We all are aware of this, as we have seen on the streets, in shops. Children, they're forced to do work commercially, they're forced to earn their livelihood. Such children are about age 14 to 16 years and they're called child laborers. Such children are deprived of normal school education. They can't attend school regularly. So this ultimately affects their mental growth and is also dangerous for them mentally, physically, socially, morally, and harmful too. Now, many international organizations also consider it like very exploitative, and even the legislation across the world also is prohibiting it. But still, we see child laborers everywhere around us. Every time we go on the street, we see child laborers. And there's an exception in child labor. Like, it doesn't include child artists or supervised trained children. Now, it doesn't include them because they are not deprived of their normal school education. They are getting the school education as well as they are working as artists. Our fourth category of multiple childhood is delinquent children. Now, there are some children who get involved into wrong activities like unethical, immoral, or antisocial activities. They will develop a criminal mindset and they will not obey laws, and such children need to go to a rehabilitation center. So there's a special board for the children and adults, young adults, what we call adolescent. There's a special board called the juvenile board. We call it young offenders court. It's a tribunal, and this court is having a special authority to pass judgments about the children or adolescents who have not yet attained the age of maturity, that is 18 years. So they're treated differently. They're not treated the same like the legal adults who have committed the same crime, but they're treated differently. Our next childhood is also a common one these days in India. It is survivor of child abuse. Now, survivor of child abuse means a child who has survived from child abuse. Means he or she is physically or emotionally maltreated. They are harassed, and this leaves a very dark impact on their mind, and it's very challenging for the family also to bring the child out of the trauma which he has faced. Now, in the United States, there's Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and Department for Children and Families, DCF. Now, these two centers are defining that child maltreatment is any act or series of acts of commission or omission by parent or other caregiver that results in harm, potential for harm, or threat of harm to a child. Means it's usually the careless behavior of the caregiver or the parent which leads to or results in the harm of the child. It says that child abuse can occur anywhere, at home, in any organization, in school, in communities, wherever the children interact. So there are four major categories of child abuse, that is neglect, physical abuse, psychological or emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Our next category of childhood is differently abled children. Now, there's some special gifted children in this world who are physically impaired, intellectually impaired, mentally impaired, and due to this reason, they cannot participate in the day-to-day activities happening in the society. If they're not able to participate, means it's like taking away their equal right, like right to equality. So such special gifted children are called differently abled children, and it is again a type of childhood. Our final childhood is children with learning disabilities. Mind you, differently abled children and children with learning disabilities are quite different. They're not the same as we consider. Children with disabilities, they have difficulty in understanding the order and arrangement of letters, words, and they have reading and writing difficulty because they're not able to recognize it. They also are not able to recognize the color, the speed, distance, velocity properly. Is that there's a difference between learning disability, learning disorder, and learning difficulty. Now, they're used interchangeably, but they differ in many ways. Now, disorder means you have learning problems in academic area. And just having a problem in your academic area doesn't need an official diagnosis. And whereas learning disability is an official clinical diagnosis, wherein a professional is confirming your learning disability, like a psychologist or a pediatrician is confirming your learning disability. Now, learning disability can be different in terms of the degree, the frequency, and the intensity. Whatever symptoms have been reported and the problems, those terms should not be confused. Whereas the term learning disorder means it's a group of disorders, like you're not completely developed in the field of academic, language, or speech. Now, such disorders could include dyslexia, that is reading problem, or dyscalculia, that is understanding mathematical problems, that difficulty. And the last one could be dygraphia, like difficulty in writing. Now, there are many more learning disorders as such. So this was all about the multiple childhoods in India. And if I get good reviews, then definitely I'd post more videos on different psychology topics. Thank you.